Hello there and welcome to JTV with me, James. In this video we're going to look back at the PlayStation 1 and my collection of games. Now before we start, I have a confession to make. I didn't actually own a PlayStation 1 myself. Although growing up I had two friends from primary school that both had PlayStation 1s. One was actually his dad's, and so we used to spend quite a bit of time playing some of those games. And it was one of my early experiences of video games. It would be a while later that in 2001 I would receive my first ever games console, a PlayStation 2. However, after I was bought that, alongside that, and in the months afterwards, lots of my family, I think I bought a couple of myself with money from Christmas and birthdays, I bought several PS1 games. And what you have to remember, for the first couple of years, the PS1 was outselling the PlayStation 2, so there were still plenty of games being released for quite a few years afterwards. And so I'm going to go through my collection of about a dozen games. So the original three Spyro games, I remember playing them with my friend on his PlayStation, and so we had lots of fun even though it was only a one-player game. We would take turns, and coming from games like, for example, Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive, which was one of my earliest memories, there was a lot of similarities but also differences. It was less about speed, but was still a platform game where you had to avoid enemies. There was a variety of colourful levels and interesting characters as well. There has been a brilliant remade version of the three original on PlayStation 4. But the original one, particularly the second one, holds so many memories for me.
Is this rain ever gonna stop? I've forgotten what the sun looks like. We should go on vacation. Somewhere warm. Somewhere sunny. Dragon Shores. Yeah, I haven't been there since we kicked Nasty Nork's butt. How about it, Sparks? You up for a vacation at the beach? Last one there's a Nork!
Is it working, Professor?
Almost. Just a few more adjustments to these orbs and...
Maybe this isn't such a good idea. Bringing a dragon here could just make Ripto angrier.
Calm down, Hunter, and stop fidgeting.
It's working! It's working! I've got a dragon!
There's lots of gems and orbs to collect and enemies to defeat.
Hi, Spyro. I'm a friend of Alora's.
Spyro 2 then ranges from around £15 to around £20 looking online. It's well worth picking up, as are the original game and also Spyro 3, suitable for all ages, a family-friendly one-player platformer then. Next up, also first released in 1999, I think it was a bit of a budget game at the time, was Acclaim and Taito, the Japanese company's Bust-A-Move 4, based on a classic arcade game, which isn't dissimilar to things like Bejeweled. Bust-A-Move 4 was known as Puzzle Bobble in Japan. It was the third sequel to the video game Puzzle Bobble, and it was also the final appearance of the series on the PlayStation, and only appearance on the Dreamcast. Released back in December of 1997. It features a total of 640 levels. It's on a fictional planet where twins Bub and Bob live, and one day the sun fails to rise because the Fairy of the Night has stolen the light source known as the rainbow from the full moon. She splits the rainbow into 7 light bubbles, and Bub and Bob are then set off to retrieve these bubbles and restore the light and peace to the Earth. So basically, the idea is you match the dots up. So you can see the blue here, shoot, and we match them up when you've got 3 or more together. In the early levels, it's fairly simple and straightforward, but gets increasingly difficult. And you should be able to pick it up for around £10 to £15 online. Or try your local game shop and support the independents. Now, most people have probably heard of Pac-Man, the classic 80s arcade game. But how about Ms. Pac-Man? This was by Midway rather than the original producers of Pac-Man, and there's some legal dispute between the ownership of it these days. It's like a classic platform game like Spyro or Mario, but it also combines that with classic features related to Pac-Man, or Ms. Pac-Man, alongside some animated sequences.
to show you my latest invention. I call it the Patrometer.
Again, it's a game that I remember previously playing on my friend's PlayStation 1.
You'll be traveling first to Cleopatra.
While the speech can get a little annoying. It's not a bad game, to be honest. As you can see, you've got almost classic Pac-Man, but in 3D style here on the levels, collecting those dots, and there are some ghosts that appear as well, but they're in different styles. So here, for example, they're in the style of Egypt, of ancient Egypt. Let's get them while they turn sort of a bluey purple colour. There you go. And you actually eliminate them completely from the puzzle. They don't return shortly afterwards. Looking online, I've seen this game on sale from about £15 to about £20. More expensive though in America. Perhaps it didn't sell as well over there. Next up, my first of two games based on films, Toy Story 2. This is quite a widely regarded game, perhaps one of the best, if not the best, on the original PlayStation, based on an animated film, an officially licensed one. It follows a similar storyline to the classic Toy Story 2 film. So the game received pretty positive reviews, including 75 out of 100 for the PlayStation version of it by Metacritic. Even the style of the levels in a classic Etch-a-Sketch, which I'd forgotten about, to be honest. And that in the corner is the Pizza Planet tokens. Pizza Planet are like a take on sort of Pizza Hut or Pizza Express, if you remember from the Toy Story 2 film. And it features cutaways from the actual film as well. Pretty high quality for the time. Don't forget, we're going back to 1999 now. It's a long time since I played this game. But the style of it is already bringing back some memories. So you have the enemies here. You've got your spin attack. And you've also got the laser. There you go. Oh, and you collect coins. So kind of similar to Mario, really, in that respect. And actually they're releasing a compilation of remastered classic Toy Story games, which is going to include this game, Toy Story 2. So for me, again, like Spyro, it brings back lots of good memories. And the fact that it relates to the film as well, which, you know, I really enjoyed as a child. Toy Story 2 in particular. As well as the original Toy Story, which I was too young to really watch when it originally came out. And it is a decent platformer to play today. Next up, Destruction Derby Raw. This was the third Destruction Derby game. There had been previous ones released on the PlayStation 1, and the first version was also released on the Sega Saturn console. Released in the year 2000, it allows up to 4 players to play together, but it's more than just about racing. A lot of it is about crashing. It's very different to both of the games that we've covered so far.
Can anyone stop their mechanical mail?
So this is a bit of a racing section called Wrecking Racing. A little bit different though to Gran Turismo, more of an arcade racer, but there was also a lot of crashing involved. The game mode it's known most for is called Destruction Derby. It's a bit like the car version of Robot Wars, which was on at a similar time to this game, because this is from 2000. And it involves a lot of smashing and crashing of cars. You've got to try and survive for a long time, as long as you can, and be last out, but also you score points for hitting cars. And it can get a little bit crazy sometimes. Oh, look at that. He's over. Right. So yes, I spent hours of fun on this back in the day, on my own, and with a couple of my friends from school. It's a great game, Destruction Derby, if you're into your racing games. And really, if you think about it, for many years after this, there was a Destruction Derby on PlayStation 2, but didn't do very well in terms of sales or reviews. But for a long time, up until Wreckfest on the PlayStation 4 a few years ago, and 5, this was basically one of the last games of its kind involving vehicle combat. Looking online in decent condition with the original case, perhaps without a cracking like my one, you can pick it up for around £15. Now, who remembers the Rugrats? It was a big hit on British TV back in the 90s and early noughties. Brilliant series that covered a lot of different issues and topics. And in the year 2000 it was turned into a video game, which was released on the PlayStation. There's a really nice booklet here, which of course you don't get in modern games. Now, the graphics do look a bit clunky by modern standards, but for the time they were pretty good. And the opening is almost exactly the same, like a recreation of the opening on the TV series itself, if you remember that. With Chucky and Tommy and Phil and Lil. There's Tommy, and he's gonna get his bottle and squirt. So the game itself is a platformer. And involves looking for puzzle pieces. Going through a variety of different levels. I remember there was one which involved a torch and being in the dark. Trying to get away from a monster, I think. There's Reptar in the background, based on Godzilla.
Where's my Reptar puzzle?
And Tommy doing his impression.
Oh, here it is. But where's all the pieces? Inside. What's wrong?
Either a lot of the puzzle pieces are missing, or it's the easiest puzzle ever.
We'll find out, you Reptar, even if we got to search the whole wide world.
Driver's up next, which is, unsurprisingly, a driving game. There was a sequel to this, also released on the original PlayStation. Now, I think I got given this because I remember playing it on my friend's PlayStation 1. It was actually his dad's, and it may have been his dad's game as well. It's quite a grown-up game, and it's quite difficult to complete the missions, but what we used to do is drive around and you could make a little film of yourself doing stunts. As it says on the back, you could reproduce your own classic 70s chase movie. I have vague memories of the music and the menu. So the basic controls themselves were quite simple. X for accelerate, you had braking and then reversing if you held it down longer on the square button, and of course you got your directional buttons as well. But the actual gameplay away from free roam, the missions and the training were really rather tricky. This was why it was a 15+ game, I think, in part. You have the damage and you have the felony at the side. You can also change the camera angle. And the felony involves being chased by the police. So if you crash into a car and there was a police car around, it would chase you. Okay, we now have a police officer after us. And I've actually destroyed the police car, which means the felony has now gone up. And it's also destroyed me a bit as well. So it got really good reviews at the time, but it is a bit of a challenging game. It's not the easiest to play. And this is a demo of what the kind of thing you could do if you edited your own video. Which was the most fun part of the game, really, as a kid. It's not a particularly expensive game. I've seen it on sale for around £15 on a well-known auction site. This is the best of version, which is slightly cheaper. The earlier ones are slightly more expensive. Something a bit different now, Worms World Party. Now, I can't remember specifically why I bought this. I don't think I played any of the earlier Worms games, but Worms is a strategy kind of combat game featuring effectively cartoon or animated worms. It's quite comical. It's by Team 17, which were a fairly small British software maker. Made numerous games, but best known for the Worms franchise, and continue to be best known for that. Here we are, so it was released in 2001, so the PlayStation 2 had already come out by this point. But there were still lots of PlayStation 1 releases coming out. You could play against the computer, you could play, I think, up to 4 players. So this is where you can select and design your own teams with interesting names, and there's also some pre-labelled ones as well. So this is a save from a while ago. It's got the Labour Party on here as one of the teams, and a QA Fun Squad. I don't know if I made them, but I must have made the Labour Party. You've got the Evil Team. So 2 things I liked about this game growing up was the customization, making your own teams, choosing various different environments, and also the comedy value of it as well. It's just a fun game. This is the computer having a go. That's a grenade. There's also mines scattered around the environment. You can choose how many mines you have, I believe, on the settings as well. And you could basically, you've got the Labour Party team here, and you've got Tony Blair having a go here. There's the weapons. Some are open straight away, some open later. Again, you can alter them on the settings. That was a bazooka. So the graphics may be basic, but this was one game that I spent a lot of time on because I just found it really, really fun. If you have a PlayStation 3, and I think also on the PlayStation 4 and 5, you can get it as a classic game for quite a low price. I've seen it on sale for around £10 online as well. There was a Dreamcast version released, which is a little bit more expensive because it's rarer, as the Dreamcast sold a lot less. There's various versions being released on PC and for more modern consoles as well. Now, if you know of the PlayStation, you probably know of Crash Bandicoot. Well, this is a spin-off kind of party game. It's a multiplayer game. You can play on your own against the computer as well. You can play again with up to 4 people. It's really quite good fun, particularly in multiplayer mode. So first of all, the music and opening is quite appealing. So in short, there's multiple different mini-games. There's one involving balls and scoring them into different people's goals called Ballistic. There's a Pongo one, Pongo Pandemonium, where you're filling up different squares on a board, a bit like an interactive board game. You've got Crate Crush. This is the Pongo Pandemonium one. So you're filling up the squares, each character. This is in demo mode. And then when you get one of the special crates there, then you get points for filling it up. And you basically get into the end having the most. The missiles can stun your opponent if you can manage to fire it in the right direction, because it's a bit difficult because it spins in all different directions. Select Crash Bandicoots, and the computer selects the other opponents. So here's the options of the different mini games: Crash Ball, Polar Panic, Pogo Painter, Jungle Bash. It gives you objectives at the beginning of each level, which are nice and clear, and the directions. It's just a really fun family game, I think. And it comes before the days of the likes of Wii Sports. You're trying to stop the balls going in your goal, and if you can, bounce off. And if you press the square button, you get a little bit of a pushback of the ball. Great multiplayer family fun game on the PlayStation. Again, it's another one that's fairly affordable and easy to pick up for around £15 or so. You get a loose disc and you get it even cheaper. So I'm not really normally into shooting games, never really have been, to be honest, but I did pick this up. I believe it was from Boise's, $9.99, Army Men Team Assault. There were multiple Army Men games which were released for the PlayStation in the late 90s and early noughties. And you're basically like a plastic army man. The plastic wars between the green and the tan army are on. You've got the sandbags, the graphics are not the best, but generally this was more of a budget game. This is the rifle range, and it's one of the many weapons you test. There you go, that's the rifle. Let's get a little bit closer. The noise of the bullets seems to echo, don't they? Now, I do recall some of the levels were a bit tricky on this, but I was always good at the training mode. Again, a fairly affordable game, and there was several different games within that series, and there were some sequels on the PlayStation 2 as well. Next up, the Lost World Jurassic Park. I first played this game at my friend's house when I went to his party in primary school. We ended up, after the party and people had left, playing on his PlayStation, and he had this game, and he was a big fan of dinosaurs at the time, like me. I will say this game, I never completed it. It is quite tricky in places. It's partly a survival game, but also a platformer as well, where you play different characters, including dinosaurs. And it's fairly simple in that you play level by level. There are no multiple options. Obviously you can save your data if you had a memory card at the time. So that's the attack one, square. X is to jump. Just getting used to the controls again. I haven't played this for a long time. Again, pretty affordable game and fairly collectible as well. What put me off playing this game more is the difficulty level. So I used to get to, was it level 2 or level 3, and then usually ended up running out of lives. Now, when I borrowed my friend's original PlayStation back one summer when he went on holiday, was actually his dad's PlayStation, to be fair. One of the games I used to play was Point Blank, that made me ask for my own. Now, at the time, I thought my mum was on a budget, she wouldn't be able to afford a PlayStation 2, so I asked for the PlayStation 1, which had its slimmer version out by the time. But to my surprise, I ended up with a PlayStation 2, my first ever games console, which I still have today and still works perfectly fine. So Point Blank is a shooting arcade game. You could actually get a light gun to go with it. And I had played this game, or a version of it, at Amusements at the Seaside, released then in 1997 based on an arcade game from 1994. It's not quite as fun if you don't have a light gun. So this is the version just like the arcade. Got to try and shoot 15 fish. You've got to be accurate and fast to do well in this game. It is a long time to play this one. Let's have a quick go. To shoot what's at the top, so going for the rabbits. Now we're going for the lion. So don't shoot the bombs, shoot the octopuses. You've got to go try and get 15 of them. Yeah, that was Point Blank. There was a sequel released on the PlayStation as well. It is better if you've got a light gun though, but you will need a CRT TV for it to work with it, rather than an LCD. The next game I'm going to show you is perhaps the most challenging in terms of difficulty of the lot. Oddworld, the first game, Abe's Odyssey. It was a big hit on the PlayStation, but certainly very tricky gameplay. It's like a platformer, but also a survival game at the same time, where you're trying to escape a meat factory as a worker that's effectively like a slave. Once you were just a slave labourer in a meat processing plant, now you're next on the menu. There has also been a remastered version of this, although many say it lost the atmosphere of the original game. And you could play in 1 or 2 player mode. There's a really cinematic opening.
This is Rupture Farms. They say it's the biggest meat processing plant on Oddworld. I used to work here. Well, I was really a slave, like all the others. That's me. My name is Abe. I was Employee of the Year. Now I'm dead meat. I crossed the meanest boss in the world, Mullet the Gluckin.
Finally, 2 budget games in brief. Checkmate by Midas Pocket Price Games. This was a chess game, basic in 2D, not bad. I was learning chess at secondary school, so I decided to buy this one. And the other one is GP Challenge. Don't really remember buying this one. It's a very basic, unofficial Formula 1 game. The graphics aren't great. It is a budget game. And again, both available for less than £10. That's my 13 games in my PS1 collection. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to do more videos like this, perhaps looking at the PlayStation 2 and 3 in the future. And more retro games too.